Okay, I hope everybody can hear me. If you could just do me a favor, please, and in the chat box, let me know that you can hear me and where you are right now in the world. That would be great, please, if you could just do that. By the way, for the person that's writing, is this live or not? This is definitely live. So just let me know in the chat box where you're coming from. Okay, we've got people from Michigan, Oklahoma, Canada. Thank you. Charlotte, North Carolina, Santa Clara, Colorado, San Mateo. A lot of people in California today. Very cool. Minnesota, Sacramento, Massachusetts. Thank you all so much. My name is Brett, and I'm your host today. And if you are here to learn how to pitch your business like a pro, then you are in the right place. So while we let the audience build a little bit, let me tell you a little bit about myself. We'll take it from there. I have built several businesses from zero to over $100 million per year. I've been successfully coaching executives and CEOs now for over 20 years. I'm a top writer on Quora and Medium with over 70 million answer views to date and growing. And a nice YouTube audience, by the way, growing as well. And most important to today's workshop, I have helped startup CEOs like you that have worked with raised funding rounds between $50,000 to $150 million. I've been around a lot of fundraisings. I know what works and I know what doesn't work. And speaking of what doesn't work, take a look at this beautiful blue slide right here. This is the cover slide of the first ever pitch deck that I did when I was raising my money. And you know what? This is probably the highlight of the pitch deck. It got worse from here. You do not want to do this at all. This is not recommended. Hello, everybody. Just do not do this. And let me tell you what I did even worse than this. It took until about slide 7 before I told people exactly what we were doing. I went into way too much technical detail in terms of what we were trying to do as well. You name the mistake, I made the mistake. And, I was fortunate, though, in a way that you probably will not be fortunate. I was an entrepreneur in residence inside a venture capital fund in San Francisco. So I had VCs working with me, helping me raise my funding. And the first time I pitched to the partnership inside of the fund. There were 2 partners I pitched to, Dave and Alan. And one of the partners, Dave Epstein, who remains a dear friend of mine to this day, Dave said these immortal words to me: everybody's first pitch sucks. And Dave is right. Everybody's first pitch does suck. And, fortunately, I learned and I got better and I improved in terms of what I was doing. And with Dave's help and using the same things that I'm going to teach you today, I was able to raise $12 million in funding. All I had was a founding team and a pitch deck. No revenue, no customers, no nothing. And we were able to raise our funding. So let me tell you the story of somebody else. And his name is Ray. Now, Ray was introduced to me by another friend of mine. And when I met Ray, he was in an even earlier situation than what I was in. Ray didn't have a team. He hadn't even formed his company yet. All he had was an idea of what he wanted to do. And I did my friend a favor. He asked me to help, and I helped Ray. And he had just started, as I said, with his own funds. That was it. There was no deck, no nothing. But using the tips that I'm going to teach you today, he was able to raise $6 million in funding. $6 million in funding. This would be a great story if we just ended right here. But the story gets better. About 1 year later, again using these exact same concepts, Ray was able to raise another $25 million in funding. Again, fantastic story. If we were able to end the story right here, fantastic story. But the story gets even better. 18 months later, Again, using these exact same zero to pitch concepts that I'm going to teach you today, he raised another $50 million in 3 weeks. That is fabulous. Again, incredible story, but the story gets better. 7 months later, using these exact same concepts again, he raised another $150 million in 1 week. Now, if you're scoring at home, let's do the math here. That's 150 plus 50, that's 200, plus 25, that's 225, plus 6 is $231 million. And he's even raised more money since this. And he's still in stealth mode, by the way, which is kind of interesting. And that's kind of a unique story to itself. The company is now worth over $1 billion. Quite a story. Quite a story. So here's what Ray told his investors after the Series B round. Let me read it to you. Dear investors, I am pleased and excited to inform you that my company signed an oversubscribed $50 million term sheet at a $202 million pre-money valuation. Please let me know if you have any interest in participating in this round. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Best regards, Ray. Not bad. Now, the question is this. Why did these zero to pitch concepts work so well for Ray? Why did they work so well? And I contend there are probably 3 things that happened here. The first reason is he didn't have to rely on knowing how to develop a pitch deck. He could rely on my knowledge and my experience of having raised money and knowing what to do. Second, he trusted the TSS process. This is what we're going to spend the bulk of our time on today, is this TSS process. But even though he hadn't announced a product yet or anything else, had no market traction, trusted the process, and it helped him through. And then finally, he didn't have to rely on a bunch of random pitch decks he found on the internet as a guide. Now, if I was in your shoes, let's be honest, what would I do? I'd go on the internet and look around and see what's out there in terms of pitch decks. Now, there are 2 problems with this. The first is that you don't know what works and what doesn't work inside of a pitch deck. The second problem is the deck is only half the story, and arguably it's the least important half. The other half is you as the CEO being able to present effectively to investors. Now, in the time that we have today, I'm going to give you everything I can, but it's a limited amount of time. We have maybe an hour together. There's so much more. This is the tip of the iceberg I am teaching you today, the tip of the iceberg. If you're really interested in getting really good at this and assuring yourself and giving yourself the best chance that you can of raising your funding, then wait until the end and I'll talk to you about how we can work together and do even more. Now, there are 3 steps that I had Ray follow to achieve a success. This is the TSS process. Again, this is what we're going to spend our time on. Let me walk you through it. And again, this is the tip of the iceberg we're talking about here. The first step is T. Tell them what you're going to say. From a pitch deck standpoint, this is the most important part of your deck, bar none. I helped Ray prepare a dynamite executive summary. This is the most important part. You make or break your pitch deck at the beginning. You either get investors to fall in love with you at the beginning, or it's really hard to raise money. So you want to get this piece right. And this leads to the second piece of pitching like a pro. Say it. And in this piece, I helped Ray develop the body of his pitch deck, so it backed up the promise of his executive summary. This is the body. In other words, we're going to tell people what the beginning, the whole story in an executive summary. And then there's a set of questions that typically investors have, and we're going to follow it up by answering those questions in a way that makes sense, in a story way, so you're telling a complete story about your business. But this is the pitch deck we're talking about. But there's the third piece. This is probably, I think, even more important than having a good deck. And this is all about you. S, say it again. In this piece, I helped Ray develop a verbal presentation that augmented his pitch deck that put his company over the top. TSS. This is our process. Now, this doesn't just work well for people like Ray. It'll also work well for you if you're a CEO that is raising your angel funding. If you're doing angel funding, perfect thing to do. Let's go through this. If you're raising your seed funding, perfect thing for you to do. If you're raising venture funding, perfect. If you're unhappy with your existing pitch deck, fine as well. If you want to develop a pitch in a pitch deck for any way that you want to raise money, be it debt, equity, friends and family, what I'm teaching you today is going to help you, bar none. But again, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's only so much we can do in an hour, and I'll give you everything I can in this hour. So I am looking for the next group of CEOs to personally help develop your pitch deck and presentation, just like I did with Ray. Now, if you think this is something that's interesting to you, then grab a pen and some paper, please. Even if you don't think this is interesting to you, then grab a pen and paper anyways, because you're likely to learn some things. And if you could just do me a favor and let me know in the chat box that you've got your pen and got your paper, and we'll get started, because we're going to have some fun right at the beginning. All right. Thank you. A bunch of people have got their pens. Thank you, Robbie. Thank God, too many people. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody. Great. Let's get started. Thank you, Jerry. We're going with the first piece here, T. Tell them what you're going to say. As I said, this is all about your executive summary and introduction slides. Now, as I said at the beginning, how you start your presentation is the most important part of your presentation. And if you've never done this before, it can feel awkward, but it's really simple with this TSS formula. I'll walk you through exactly what you should do. And then I'm going to teach you how to simplify your messaging so it instantly resonates with your audience. You've got a short period of time to get your message out to investors. If it gets too complex at the beginning, you will lose your audience. The classic mistake that people make when they've done this before. You want to keep it really simple at the beginning. And then finally, after you practice this a few times, your audience will instantly understand why your company is unique in a meaningful way. And that is the key to raising funding. Now, what does this look like when it's done right? First, your audience will be immediately hooked. This is the goal here. We want to hook them and get them falling in love with us at the beginning. If we do this, we're on our way. Second, your audience will instantly understand why they should invest in your company. Seems hard to believe, right? In 2 slides, you can do it, but you can. And then finally, maybe, I don't want to say most importantly, but if there's one thing you take away from today's presentation, be it this: you do not need a fancy slide deck to woo investors. A simple white background with simple graphics and simple text is all you need. So let me give you an example of a company that did this really well. We're going to use them kind of as a blueprint today, and that's Airbnb. And we all know Airbnb, we all know the company, and I'm going to go over their executive summary with you. It's in a 2-slide format, and it's what's called a problem solution format. First is the problem. They're telling you exactly the problem they're trying to solve. And then the second slide, they say, here's how we solve it. Let's take a look. Problem. Here it is. They walk through 3 things, and look at the graphics here, and look at the background here. Simple white background, simple text. That's it. This is all you need. Works perfectly. Price is an important concern for customers. That's the first thing. And then hotels leave you disconnected from the city and its culture. That's the second problem they're trying to solve. And then third, think about the business that they're in. They're trying to hook buyers and sellers up together, right? So there's no easy way if you go back in time to book a room with a local or become a host. This is the problem they're trying to solve here. How do you connect these people up and give people a platform? Well, here's the solution, right? It's them. They have a web platform where you can do this. And then they answer all the questions. We save you money, we make our customers money, and then we share the culture. 1, 2, 3. This is exactly what you want to do. This is exactly it. Notice what's missing here. That's right, details. You don't need details at this stage. You want to keep it really, really simple. So what was the result? Well, they were able to raise their next round of funding from Sequoia Capital. And the company IPO'd and now is valued as of this week at 80 billion with a B dollars. Not bad. So I have a question for all of you before we go forward. Do you think you could create something like this, an executive summary like this? Because I'm betting you can. And with my help, in the next 5 minutes, we're going to go through this together. And I'm going to teach you how 5 steps in 5 minutes. So that's why you need that pen and paper and somebody wrote a keyboard. Okay, use your keyboard, whatever. That'll work too. But 5 steps in 5 minutes. That's what we're going to do. So get that pen, get that paper, and I guess if you want to use your keyboard, go for it that way too. And here we go. So here are the steps. As I said, 5 steps in 5 minutes. I'm going to get my stopwatch ready to go here. So I'm ready to rock. And let's see. Okay, there we go. Step 1. Actually, I went to step 2 though. Let's go to step 1. Write a 1-sentence description of the problem your company is trying to solve. Again, I'm going to give you 1 minute to do this, and here's my suggestion for all of the steps. Every single one of them. Go with what pops into your head, regardless of what it is. Whatever pops into your head, go with that. And I'll give you 1 minute to do this step, and if you could just do me a favor and let me know in the chat box that you're done, that would be great. Okay, so we have a bunch of people that are done now. Robbie, Alexander, and a bunch of other people are done at this point, which is fantastic. Let's move on to step number 2 in our process. Write up the limitations with the way this problem is solved today using at most 3 steps. Just 3 bullet points. That's all I want from you. And again, I'll give you 1 minute to do this. And again, if you could just do me a favor, let me know in the chat box when you're done. Thank you. Okay, most of the people seem to be done. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, everybody else who's completed this. I think we're done with step 2 in our process and ready to move on to step number 3 in the process. Let's take a look. Step number 3, write a 1-sentence description of how you solve this problem. And again, I'll give you 1 minute to do this. And again, if you could just do me a favor and let me know in the chat box when you're done. Thank you. Okay, thank you for everybody who's completed the last step. We are now 3/5 of the way done. So we're on to step number 4 in our process. Let's go to step number 4. Here we go. Write up the way you solve this problem using at most 3 steps. Again, I'll give you 1 minute to do this again. Whatever pops into your head, go with it. And if you could, again, just let me know in the chat box when you're done. I'd certainly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, we are done with step number 4. Thank you, everybody. We're on to the last step in our process. Here we go. Here's what we have to do for step number 5. Put step number 1 and step number 2 on one piece of paper. This is slide 1. This is the problem slide. And then step 3 and 4 on a second piece of paper. This is slide 2. This is the solution slide. Again, I'll give you 1 minute to do this. Again, let me know when you're done in the chat box. That would be great. Okay, looks like everybody is done at this point. Thank you, everybody, for completing this step, which is great. Congratulations. You have completed your first executive summary. You can do this stuff. That's the cool thing. And I want to tell you, if you really think about this again, this is just the beginning. Imagine how good you're going to get when you work with somebody who's done this before and can really give you everything. This is just the beginning steps right now. It gets much better from here. That's what I'll tell you. And wait till the end, because we'll talk about how we can do that and how I can really help you get good at this. So here again, here's the problem, here's the solution slide. This is kind of what it should look like for you, something like this for the problem slide, but with a headline. They left that out. And then the solution slide like this. I would have preferred the same format for both of these, but this is fine what they did. Work for them. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now we're on to step number 2 in our process, and that's say it. And in this step, I'm going to help you develop the body of your pitch deck. Now remember, the first step, what did we do? The executive summary. You can think of this as really your whole plan without details. Now what are we going to do in this step? We're going to back it up with a bunch of facts and a bunch of information, answering the logical questions that investors have about your business. Let's talk about this. Now, as I said, we're going to back up the claims here that we made in the executive summary. That's the goal. So what do we do here? What are the things that we need to do? The first thing is, well, we've got to develop a competitive analysis and a market analysis. Now, why is this important? Well, all of you, every single one of you have competition. Every single one of you have competition. And I know that somebody are saying, but I don't have competition. We're doing something completely different. Maybe true. But you know what? There's the old way of doing things. That's your competition. And you have to understand how to present this to investors. I'm going to teach you how to do that. And then the market analysis, well, we all have markets we're going after. And if you think about it from an investor standpoint, they want to understand the market and they're going to do their own research, but they want to think about how you think about the market as well. So you have to be able to explain it. It's really, really important. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm going to teach you how to present how your product or service works in a way your audience can easily understand. This is what I call the Goldilocks piece of your pitch deck and pitching. Now, if you think about this, and why am I saying it this way? Well, there's a balance of details versus less details when you pitch. And if you remember, I talked about at the beginning, I said that one of the mistakes that I made was I gave them too much detail. And you can lose your audience if you overwhelm them with detail. Remember, they're investors, they're money people. So you want to think about that way. But if you give too little information, conversely, there's nothing that's going to differentiate you from everybody else. You need to get this just right. Thus, the analogy to the old story we learned as kids about Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's the same thing. It's the same thing when we're raising money. We've got to get this just right. Third, you're going to learn how to present your go-to-market strategy and business model. Now, why is this important? Well, your go-to-market strategy, that's how customers find you. Pretty important piece. You can win or lose right here when you're raising money. I don't want you to screw this up. I want you to understand exactly how to do this right. And then your business model. This is how you make money. Investors want to understand all these things. These are critical slides for you when you're raising money. It's not enough to have a great idea. If you can't tell people how your customers are going to find you in a convincing way, you're not going to get an investment. Flat out, I will tell you that. It's the same with your business model. If your business model doesn't make sense, investors are not going to invest. Full stop. Then finally, I'm going to teach you how to present your team and your financial model. Now, these seem like simple slides, but I have seen so many companies die on this hill. It would blow your mind. People screw these slides up all the time. I promise you, after going through Zero to Pitch, you will not screw these slides up. So what does this look like when this part is done right? Well, the first thing is you will effectively and quickly provide the right amount of detail about how you will execute your plan. Second, you're going to be able to answer any questions your audience has about your business before they have them. That's the whole idea of the body of your pitch deck. Is as I said, there's a logical set of questions. You want to answer these properly. Then third, your audience is going to believe that you and your team are the right group to solve this problem. So let me show you an example of this, of how this is done really well. And I'm going to use LinkedIn and what they did in their Series B pitch deck as an example. We're going to go through their market slides. They did this in a 2-slide sequence. It's really elegantly done. And it's a great model of how you can effectively show a lot of information, but do it in a very compact way, in a way that you don't overwhelm your audience, which is what I want all of you to do. Now, again, we're just scratching the surface here today. There's so much more to this that I want to be able to teach you, and will teach you. So here we go. This is the market slide. This is the first slide. Now, here are a couple things to notice. This was done August 2004, but yet the information is in February 2004. Why is that? We'll figure that out next. And you can see here, they're showing you a whole bunch of information. The total size of the market, 300,000 users. Quite amazing when you think about LinkedIn today. And then here are the competitors. Where are they now? All gone. Okay, and you can kind of see these are estimates, what they've done. And again, what do we see here as the slide? Simple white background, PowerPoint graphics. This is all you need. And now let's go to the second slide. Boom. Updated to August, the market has quadrupled. Their market share has grown by almost 20%. This stuff up here to the right, which are awards that they've won, this is a mistake in my humble opinion, because you want to have one thought per slide. They went to 2 thoughts. It's a minor mistake, but it's there regardless. But this is kind of what you want to do. Now, again, all I'm showing you here is the market slide. There are all these other slides. We just don't have the time to go through them. And I'm just showing you the tip of the iceberg in terms of details for what to do here and what not to do. But you get the idea of what you can do and how powerful this can be for the rest of the slides in your deck. Now, what was the result for LinkedIn? Well, they were able to raise their next round of funding, $10 million from Greylock, another really well-known venture capital firm in the Silicon Valley, and Sequoia, which is probably the best-known firm in the Valley. And they were sold to Microsoft for $26.2 billion in 2016. So we've now gone through the first 2 pieces. Now, in the first piece, the first T in our process, tell them what we're going to say. That's creating this dynamite executive summary and just nailing it. That's what that was all about. Now, in the second piece, say it, we're backing it up with detail and data to show that the emotion that we got investors to buy in was well served. In other words, hey, I love the idea of this company. Do they have the goods? And the answer is hopefully yes. That's what we're going to show them in the second piece. Now, there's a third piece, as I said, which we're going to get to next. This is the most important piece, in my humble opinion, of the whole thing, because you've got to be able to pitch your company properly. And that's all about you. It's not enough to have a great deck. You have to be effective, because a large part of the bet for early stage companies, which I'm assuming most of you are, is all about the CEO. And that's what this piece is all about. Say it again, TSS. And in this piece, I'm going to show you how you can add value through your words. Now, before I get to the detail, I want to show you 2 guys, and I'm going to make an analogy with these 2 people. For our American audience, you may recognize both of these people. On the left here, this is the late, great Pat Summerall. And on the right here, this is the late, great John Madden. This is an American football field in the background. And these 2 fellows back in the day were considered the best announcers in the business. And they had 2 unique roles, which is what I wanted to get to. Pat here, he was the play-by-play announcer. He would tell you the play and what happened on the play. And then here's John, larger than life John, with a larger than life personality. He was the color commentator. He would tell you why the play worked, why it didn't work, what was going on in intricate detail. And these two guys were so good together that people would tune in and watch football games, American football games, just to hear them. That's how good they were. Now, what's the analogy that I'm trying to draw here? When you think about a pitch deck, there's the deck, and then there's you as the CEO. When you think about your role, pitching your company to investors, who do you think you're most like? Are you supposed to be like Pat? Or are you supposed to be like John? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the chat box. Okay, we've got John, 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 and a both, and a bunch of John, 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 Johns, and so forth and so on. But I'm going to single out Brian's answer because he nailed it. The deck is Pat. The CEO is John, providing color for the deck. That's exactly right. And then somebody wrote here, which I think is pretty cool. TS is Pat, and then S is John. That's exactly right. So you guys are getting it. Very good. Excellent. Well done. So let me give you another analogy for those of you who aren't into sports. Your pitch deck is only part of the solution. Without your words, it's like a movie without a soundtrack, which is another way to think about a pitch in a pitch deck. The movie, that's your deck. The soundtrack is you as the person pitching. You need both to have a successful pitch. And that's what this last piece is all about. So here's what we're going to do in this last piece. I'm going to teach you how to add significant value by adding to the presentation through your words. That's what this is all about. It's teaching you how to be an effective speaker. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have John's personality to make this go. Be you. Be a passionate version of you, but be you, and you'll be just fine in doing this. But you have to be effective. You have to know how to do this right, and I'll teach you how to do that in Zero to Pitch. And then in Zero to Pitch, the way that this works and the way that you get really good is by doing. And that's exactly what you do here. So you're going to pitch your executive summary and introduction to me multiple times. And I'm going to give you my direct and honest feedback. And then you're going to present your whole pitch, including your executive summary and introduction to me. And again, I'm going to give you my honest feedback of how this is going. So now what does this look like when this part is done right? You'll have a pitch deck and a presentation that's going to help you raise money. You'll be confident when you pitch your business to potential investors. And then finally, you're going to be able to answer every question your audience has real time. That's the way this works. That's the way this works really well. So let's hear from somebody who's gone through Zero to Pitch. Here's what Nadia had to say after she finished the Zero to Pitch workshop. Results. I think you have an amazing program that many startups can benefit from. The way you promoted your program by doing a free webinar first made a huge difference because it allowed me to see your expertise in this field. And to me, also, it's very appealing that you offer the office hours after the program. I really appreciate this. It's important when I'm trying to finalize and improve my pitch book. Thank you, Brett. This is what Nadia had to say, and she was able to raise $3 million after completing the workshop. So let's review a little bit here. There are a lot of tricky parts to learning how to pitch your business like a pro. The first thing is you need to get your audience's attention really fast. And then you need to be able to back up your claims with enough information, but you can't overwhelm your audience with too much information either. We think about the first piece here. It's the first T in our process. Number 2 and 3, this is the first S in our process. And then the third S. You need to learn how to not just read your slides, but add value through your words. This is the TSS process. Now, what would it look like for you to confidently pitch investors and raise funding? Now, here's the deal. You can keep doing what you're doing and get the results you're currently getting, or you can learn a better, more effective way to pitch investors. So here's my question to you. What's it going to be? Do you want to keep doing it the old way you've been doing it? Or is it time you mastered pitching investors and get the funding that you want? And that's why I would like to invite you to work with me.
So Zero to Pitch is a community for startup CEOs focused on growing their early stage startups and startup CEOs raising money for their early stage startups. So let's take a look at what you get. There are 4 options for working with me. The first is Zero to Pitch Free, and the second is Zero to Pitch Gold. The third is Zero to Pitch Platinum, and the fourth is Zero to Pitch One-on-One Immersive. Each one of these, from free to one-on-one immersive, obviously you get more each level. So let's take a look at what you get. Okay, let's take a look at what you get in Zero to Pitch, and then we'll go over to Zero to Pitch Gold so you can take a look at that as well. So here is the About page. This is probably your starting point if you're interested. Mine says Settings, but here, where my cursor is, on the bottom right of the screen, it will say for you Join. And there'll be some questions for you. You answer the questions, and then you get admitted to the group. When you're inside the group, you can go here. There's a community section. Let's take a look at that. You can see here all these various things. By the way, there's a free thing that I'm giving away every month to people. There are also AMAs, and there's also Welcome to Zero to Pitch. This happens, and I highly recommend, as one of the first things you do, is in the week that you join, try and join the Welcome to Zero to Pitch meeting, because it's great. I kind of walk you around the site even more than this. You get to ask me questions as well. Then we have a classroom, and inside of the classroom here is a free course that I'm giving you called Zero to Pitch. It's the light version of the course. So we go over some stuff here, a lot more in the paid version of the site on Zero to Pitch Gold. And then there's a calendar function as well. This is pretty cool. So here you can kind of see what's on the calendar every week. You can kind of see here there's a welcome thing on Mondays. You can kind of see here, we're recording this on Sunday. Here on Monday is the welcome meeting the next Monday. And then there are AMAs every week, and I kind of alternate various times for the AMAs so that everybody can join, because we have a worldwide community here. So this is pretty cool. So in the AMAs, and these are held, you can kind of see they're held on YouTube, and you can go to the AMAs and you can ask me anything, but even if you're not a member, you can ask me anything. But if you're a member of Zero to Pitch, then you get priority and your questions get answered first. So we may or may not be able to get to your questions if you're not part of the community. So anyways, that's the benefit of being part of this. There's a member list, as you can see here. Here's all the members. And then there is a leaderboard as well. And this is pretty cool. Kind of one of the neat things about the school website and the way that it works. So here's all the various people. Kind of see who's ahead. We just launched a couple weeks ago, so everything's the same. But whoever's ahead, these 3 people at the end of the month, they will get the books. They will get the free book from me, and it will be signed and autographed by me too. So pretty cool. So anyways, that's what you get. And let's go backwards here, and let's actually go now. Let's go to the Gold website. But let me actually do that. Before I do that, let's actually go back. Okay, let's go up. Let's go to the About page, and we'll go to the Gold website from here. So you can kind of see here, click here on the right, go right over here and you can join Zero to Pitch Gold. And this is $99 per month. We just launched Zero to Pitch Gold, so there's a small number of members at this point. Great time to join. The price right now is going to go up at some point, and I'm going to cap membership at some point. So take advantage right now of doing this. So you can see here the same thing with the community, the same as Zero to Pitch. There's a classroom, except in this classroom there's more. So you get the full Zero to Pitch course. Let's take a look at that. All the various modules of Zero to Pitch here you get. And then let's go back to classroom. And you also get this course, which I just added today, interestingly enough. And this is called Learn How to Pitch Like Steve Jobs. This is a great little fun little course to take. And I give you a ton of insights about how Jobs prepared and how you can really learn from him. So this is a lot of fun. Now we go over to the calendar. You can see the calendar is a little bit different here. Every day of the week, office hours. And these office hours are different than the AMA because these are held over Zoom and in a meeting format. Actually, hang on one second. Let's go to the one for this week. So you kind of see there's Zoom. This is a Zoom meeting, so you actually get to talk to me in these. So this is pretty cool. You go back and forth with me, ask me any questions you want. And the great thing about this, and the really cool thing about this, is that it's really nice because guess what? In this particular thing right now, because there's a small number of members, it's almost like working with me one-on-one. This is worth a lot of money. People pay me a lot of money to work with me one-on-one. You get the benefit right now because the community is small of getting that benefit at a fraction of the cost right now. And as I said, I'm going to cap the number of members at some point in this, and I am going to raise the pricing at some point as well. So you get it for a very low price of just $99 per month. There's the member list, there's the leaderboard again, and back to the About page. Okay, so finally, let's go back here and see what your options are. So you can kind of see here, you got the free course over here. You can join for free. Then you have the gold version. You can join for $99 a month. And you get a lot more, as I showed you. By the way, if you decide you don't want to stay part of the community here for gold, you can quit at any time you want. That's fine. And then you have the platinum version. Now these are application only, so let me explain these two versions here right now, platinum and the one-on-one immersive. So platinum, this means you get to work with me as well. So you get all of what you get here in Zero to Pitch Gold. I'll enroll you in this. You can enroll in this community as well. So you get everything you get here, plus you get access to me. So if you really want to get better at pitching, this is a great way to go because you get results even faster. So you get 2 meetings with me every month to review your pitch. So that's fantastic. It's a great way to go. And then also, we have one-on-one immersive. Now this is the way, if you really want to get good really fast, this is how you do it. I only work with a limited amount of people in platinum or one-on-one immersive. But one-on-one immersive, essentially, you and me, we'll work together. We'll have 25 meetings, essentially. And you can schedule these meetings literally every day if you want. We'll go as fast as you can go. And we will hone your pitch. We'll get it right. You'll get access to everything else here as well. So you get access to all the various communities. And you get those for life. By the way, you get that for life in the platinum community as well. So you get access to all of this for life. And you get the one-on-one immersive, you can go really fast. And this is how you can get good really quickly. I only work with a limited number of people because there's only so much of me to go around here. If you want to, just click the apply button on my website and you can apply. There's some questions that I'll ask you, and then we'll have a consultation and we'll take it from there. So that's how platinum works, and that's how one-on-one immersive works. So anyways, I hope, and there we go. So if you want to join, here's how the process works. You can apply, as I said, for one-on-one immersive here on my website at the Zero to Pitch page. And if you're interested in Zero to Pitch for free, you can join right there. Great way to get started. And if you're interested in the gold, you can go over to the gold. Just go over to the school website. Right here is where you go. And you can click on, in the right-hand corner, as I showed you, Zero to Pitch Gold. and fantastic. So I hope that helps. I've enjoyed speaking with you today, and I look forward to working with you. Take care. Bye.